Yo, what is good? My anime faithful, what is good, yo? Guys, Black Clover is going absolutely ham this week, and I got all of the things I want to talk about. So much going on, so little time. Let's get right into it. So, we learn everything about the reincarnation, all the way to the fact that the person who truly even instigated it in the first place, which actually makes a lot of sense with how uh, the angles of the story are kind of told, right? You don't just usually have a main villain who, for instance, in this case for the elves, it was the Fairy King. And then you don't give us a real compelling reason as to why he's a villain. Um, and then, I mean, to be fair, if they were like, okay, and then we saw verbatim, this was the guy, excuse me, doing all this. This was the guy right here. Like if he saw if like all the other elves that were dying, they all experienced a different type of anger, a different type of, they had a different reasoning why they were want revenge. And for the guy who was inside the body of the sister lover, um, he showed us that he saw the people who were, excuse me, it's my first time talking all day, this is bad. The first people who were really up there during this event and, laughing and enjoying themselves, he remembered their faces and he knows that none of these people here are them, but, what he doesn't know is they could be related to that person, and hence why the elves really hated the royals compared to anybody else, right? It's not like they're like, oh, you're a commoner, and commoners were the ones who also I hate. They're like, where are the royals so we can body them? But regardless, it looks like someone was playing both fields. The demon was ready for either case of the elves being the perfect guinea pigs or the humans. And it just so happened that they were both amazing guinea pigs, so he just couldn't play favoritism and made sure they both had enough pain and agony to deal with in the future. So what we learned is not only is this guy the main cause to all of this pain and suffering, we also learned real quick that he's one of the most broken people we've seen in the show by far, bar none. If I say fall out of the ring to Nightmare, he falls out of the ring, right? Like, that's just how his word soul magic works. So he says Blade of Storms, which when I first watched him, I didn't really understand how deadly and potent it was until I saw Asta and Yuno actually working together to just avoid one word that this man said. One word made them have to work fully in tandem to even get close and scratch him, which then he said another word being heal, and it was completely dealt with. So this demon was hiding amongst the elves probably the whole entire time, just waiting for them to get all these stones, waiting for them to get to this point. And as you saw, once they needed a little bit of a boost to finish off the job, he was right there to jump at the stone. I was gonna say the coin for some reason because it looked really like a coin to me this week's episode when he put it on the little button that actually released him. Which the crazy thing is, how was all this created? Like, who, if he was somebody that already existed, right? If he was somebody that clearly was around before, uh, you know, the other Wizard King attacked the elves and stuff like that, and but he didn't have his own body, who could have put his body in a position like this where he needed to do all of these crazy steps just to become whole again, right? Like, who or what was capable of doing that. And then we get a little bit of information here and there from the demon guy, because of course he's just a bucket of knowledge, and every time we reach in, we're gonna find something new about the show that we didn't already know. One of which being the blades that Asta is, or one of the blades that Asta's using, being that he is a magicless child, and like he's a defected child at that. But for some reason, a meddlesome comrade has given him a blade, and I think I finally understand who this comrade is, slash who it could be. I'm not completely sure if I'm right, but there's only one real person slash thing I could see this comrade being, because they were around for every single thing, and they made a very big point of just when Yuno was going in with the last piece for that bird that I've been seeing all this time, to make sure it was seen, make sure it saw that all the pieces were about to be assembled into the other side, the place of in between the living and the dead. So I think that was a good indicator why the bird was shown, and it didn't even get to go in with them. So maybe if they get out, because that's where the demon's going, right? He's like, I'm outie, I'm going back to the real world now, boy. Maybe that's where the rest of this is going to take place, which seems kind of dumb in the case of how ridiculously powerful he is and what he might just cause if he was let loose out there and then started using this word magic, right? He's just like, crumble, fall, break, destroy yourself. Like, all these things he says, I know as some people in the comments or other people's comments are just talking about Black Clover's story in the future.
Technically, if he could just say anything and it happens, why didn't he just say for Yuno and Asta to die? Like, he could have just said die and they die.
Well, let's say that this isn't a show and this is real life. They would be dead. They would 100% be dead. He would have been like, alright, well, I really don't want my plans foiled, and if you are the only two that can foil my plans, guess what? Spear into the heart. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been very, very direct with what he wanted, unless he can't, and that's something we learned. Like, there's only so much he can do with the words. Like, he can say, for instance, say a blade of storms, which has physical blades and magical blades, but for some reason he doesn't just say blades of storm fly and kill them. Like, he doesn't have there's no direct commandment of what they're supposed to do. They just do show up within his words of being said. So I don't know, I'm interested in this character a lot because he's shown so much potential in the show as a whole of what could come in the future for the characters to have to deal with as a whole, or just the simple fact that there's not just humans or elves out there, there's actual demons, and they need to be on their guard for even them. Not to mention the fact that we learn Lich's son, the baby that was not born, is the reason why Yuno is so loved by Mana, so loved by magic and all that. Not only that, probably the main reason why he may have gotten the four-leaf clover, and may or not be the reason why the fairy little pixie girl was actually branded onto him. So it's crazy to think that, yeah, Lich's son could be in there and it's awakening. So somehow him and Yuno and the sun are pretty much combining. Like, they're not against each other, they're not trying to seemingly fight for control. It's almost as if the baby, or the unborn kid, accepts the fact that this is where it's supposed to be or something. So it's just trying to help its vessel become strong enough to handle it. Because imagine a baby waking up in his body and then dealing with pain, physical pain for the first time, all this different stuff that it may have experienced through as we see with the other elves. They experienced all of the tragedy and happy times the humans go through that they are reincarnated into. So it just makes it that much simpler for me to be like, okay, well, maybe the baby is capable of, seeing all these things that are going on, but would a baby really want, or like a young kid really want to come into a world where everything is so dangerous and even the people that are attacking you are getting stronger? So think about this. Yuno was capable of dodging light magic almost casually. Like he had to focus and he could do it. But now with this black magic, he's actually saying it's faster and he has barely any opportunity to escape at all. So we have some stuff that's now faster than light, and these boys are still reacting to it and fighting back. So a lot of shows have been doing this faster than light. I mean, they are literally using light magic, guys. And to be able to react to light means you're faster than the sound of speed. Or yeah, the sound you're faster than the speed of sound. The sound of speed. Sorry. But yeah, overall, that's where it's kind of always been coming down to with these hyper shows, these shows that start getting from peon levels and commoners to royals to all of a sudden demons who can just say a word and things happen, and even stop mana zones from it's getting hype, and I don't know why you would ever drop this show unless you got the filler episode, which was like the 4th of July or something like that. I forget. We might be getting another one soon, to be fair, but I can understand if you dropped it because of something like that and you didn't know what the heck was going on, just to find out that it was something that's never going to be mentioned again. That sucks. But at the same time, there's so much more that comes after that that you're missing out in this show. Now with closing a lot of the first opening gaps, as in why the elves were taken out, why the humans would have done it, and even what's the plan going forward after all this has been successful, is all of this turns a four-leaf clover book into a black one, a 5-leaf one, whenever it is whenever the person who's using that book goes into full despair. So our guy is completely out of it and wants nothing but to end his suffering or whatever. And because of this, it's led to his book turning into Asta's. And for some reason, when this demon has done this before and made a book that was a 5-leaf clover, somehow, some way, Asta got his hands on it, aka the meddlesome comrade, I'm guessing, somehow gave it to him. And then on the flip side, how did this happen if the time he made this Grimlaw, the book, was done back when the Wizard King attacked all these guys and someone went to despair and blah blah blah? It had to have been liches at that time, or the Wizard King, one of the two, right? I'm guessing it was liches because the Wizard King stopped a giant demon and all this other stuff, which maybe was fabricated by the demon himself. I just want more Black Clover, and now I have to wait a full week just to get it back. But regardless, man, we are definitely having some fun with watching it, and I hope you guys are having an amazing day, night, evening, whatever the case may be. When you're watching this, I'm your boy, the Anime G, and I will be dropping We Never Learn with Fairy Gone with Black Clover. So I hope you do enjoy that as well. So with all that being said, take care, everybody, and I will talk to you very soon. So with that being said, peace.